Hello, everybody. Max Scoville and Marty Sleva here. We are at PlayStation Experience 2017, and we had this distinct, unique opportunity of sitting down with the man of the show himself, Hideo Kojima, to talk about Death Stranding, a game that we still don't know a whole lot about. Marty, what do we actually know about this after talking to him?
So my big takeaway is we spent 30 minutes talking about the game, especially the Game Award trailer. I feel like we know things not only about gameplay mechanics, but about the lore finally, which I'm really excited about. So let's...
Okay, yeah.
First, I think the big thing I want to say is that jumping into it, so we have that scene where you see, the bomb goes off with the kaiju in the background, and then Norman Reedus appears underwater, and he's naked and floating. That is what happens when you die in Death Stranding.
Yeah, Kojima compared it to in Metal Gear games when you get the game over, but you're still playing. In Snake Eater, there's that scene, which is incredibly strange. Yeah. But the idea of dying, ending your turn, seems to be something he's kind of moving away from. This sort of persistent idea of some kind of a loop there.
Yeah, he called it archaic. That's what the idea of a game over screen was something that happened 40 years ago in arcades, and it was mostly to get you to feed another quarter. So this thing is when you die, you appear underwater, and he said it's a first-person scene where you're sort of outside of Sam's body, Norman Reedus' body, and you're swimming in the water, and you can gather things you've lost, and then when you go back into the body, you are reborn into the world. And you're not reborn before you died, and it's like, hey, try again if you died at that boss. What happens has happened. So that's why when he's reborn, that crater's there is because that exploded. And so he's there, and it's like, you don't go back. So death doesn't pull you out of the game. Death is a mechanic that keeps you going in a straight line.
Yeah, it sounds like kind of like a persistent roguelike approach. Obviously, people hate it when we compare things to Dark Souls, but the idea of having to return to your body and retrieve your stuff seems to be something here. But the idea that the world kind of keeps changing without you is fascinating.
No, totally. And the idea that that's going to be in first person to me is like, oh, this is a little hint of what PT, Silent Hills, like that whole thing was, and so I feel like there's a little bit of that idea still there.
Now he also touched a bit on something. We got our first sort of proper noun from this interview. There's something called Timefall, which he described as there's rainfall, but then there's rainfall from another world, and I believe when it comes in contact with something, it speeds up the passage of time. And for example, in the video, the trailer starts out with rain falling on plants, and the plants just growing incredibly fast, and then also the guy who's stuck under the truck is aging really rapidly. And he pointed out that maybe this doesn't affect everybody. Maybe Norman isn't affected.
Yeah, so we know Norman is special, and we know Norman, his character Sam, has that suit that says Porter, which we were like, is that his name or his job? And Kojima was like, I've read those theories. Those are interesting. And so we still don't know. But it seems like, he's absolutely special that it seems like this is able to hit him and clearly not age him. And another thing that's special about him is the baby that we keep seeing. And apparently the baby we've seen is the baby. We've seen one baby in all of these, the very same titular baby.
It's like the Kubrick 2001 space baby. This is a very important baby. We still don't really know what it is or why it's there or whatever. One thing that people have been pointing out is that there are mechanics, or there are things that look like they could be mechanics in the trailer, like the sort of apparatus sticking off of their character's shoulders. Almost seems to take the shape of a crosshair. They have bracelets that change color.
Like a health bar.
And then there's other kind of just little tidbits like that where it could be something, there's stuff in there that could be sort of mechanically showing what to do in the game, but it's just happening in the game. And we asked if this was sort of like going to take the place of UI. It doesn't sound like that's the case. He was very, very tight-lipped about that, but we did get some tidbits there. One thing I really want to touch on is that he knows that people are confused by this, but he seems very confident that it will make sense. Again, it's Kojima. He makes some strange stuff, but I like the idea of when we do finally get an idea of the gameplay of this, revisiting all this and being like, oh yeah, it does make sense.
It all stitches together. Yeah, in the last couple tidbits we got, the Game Awards trailer, it falls, it's not a trailer, this is a scene from the game. It falls near the end of the prologue, so this is the earliest thing we've seen in the game. Both of the other, scenes we've seen are going to be in the game. And then when we asked him about multiplayer, how he thinks about that, he finds it very interesting. He wants this to be a strong single-player experience, but they're thinking of interesting and new ways to tie in multiplayer. So you mentioned Souls before. I'm thinking of Journey. Like, he didn't mention any of those games, but like, think of outside-the-box multiplayer.
Yeah, one thing he's touched on a lot is there's a Japanese writer named Kobo Abe who has a short story that talks about the difference between the stick and the rope as early inventions that humans have. The stick is something used to push stuff away from you, and the rope is something used to connect you to things. And he says the ongoing theme in this game is connections. And when you think of connections, you think, obviously, the internet. Everyone is interconnected. Part of the game, it seems like right now, is getting people talking about this, making people guess and connect over their theories about Death Stranding. I think there will almost definitely be some kind of online components, some way of connecting with other people. It seems like kind of a swing and a miss if he didn't have that.
Yeah.
But again, how that actually comes into play will be pretty mysterious.
Yeah.
He's a mysterious dude. He definitely has fun with all the theories we've been cooking up. We have a great video on IGN of everything you might have missed in the trailer, so go check that out if you haven't already. We've got lots more coming out of PSX, so keep it right here on IGN. And may Death Stranding, I don't know, keep you guessing or something.